For 30 days, I stopped posting photos. No updates, no moments, no proof. I still scrolled, I still watched, I still existed online. But I gave the world nothing to look at, and I wasn't prepared for how deeply that silence would change my mind. At first, it felt insignificant, almost pointless. I told myself, it's just photos. What difference could this make? But within a few days, something strange happened. I noticed how often my brain reached for my phone. Not to enjoy a moment, but to validate it. A good meal, a quiet place, a moment that felt meaningful. My instinct wasn't presence, it was documentation. And when I stopped doing that, my mind felt restless, like it had lost a reflex. Psychology calls this conditioning. Repeated actions train the brain to expect certain rewards. Posting photos had quietly become one of mine, not because I needed attention, but because attention had become familiar. Likes weren't the goal. They were the signal. A signal that said, this moment matters. Without that signal, my brain felt uncertain. Was the moment still meaningful if no one saw it? By the end of the first week, I felt discomfort. Not boredom, not loneliness, something subtler. A feeling of being unwitnessed. There's comfort in knowing your life is being seen, even silently. When that disappears, you're left alone with the experience itself. No audience, no echo, just you. And that's where the experiment truly began. I started noticing how I thought during moments, not after them. When I stopped thinking in captions, my thoughts slowed down. I wasn't framing life, I was living it. And that revealed something uncomfortable. Much of what I used to post wasn't for memory. It was for reassurance. There's a psychological concept called external validation. It's when your sense of worth leans on how others respond to you. Most people believe they're immune to it, but remove even one feedback loop, and the dependency becomes visible. Without posting, my inner world felt quieter. Not peaceful yet, just quiet. And in that quiet, emotions surface that usually get filtered out. Boredom, uncertainty, ambivalence. Things social media usually smooths over with stimulation. By the second week, something shifted. The urge to post didn't vanish, it weakened. Moments stopped demanding proof. They simply happened. I realized how much mental energy goes into anticipation. Anticipating reactions, anticipating engagement, anticipating interpretation. Without that weight, experiences felt heavier, richer, more complete. I also noticed my self-perception changing. When you post photos, you see yourself from the outside. You relate to yourself as an image, a version, a highlight. Without photos, my sense of identity turned inward. I stopped asking, how do I look? And started asking, how do I feel? That difference is small in words, but massive in impact. By week 3, the silence no longer felt empty. It felt protective. I felt less exposed, less interpreted, less fragmented. There's a psychological idea called psychological ownership. It's the feeling that something is deeply yours. Memories, thoughts, experiences. When you post something, ownership subtly shifts. The moment becomes shared territory. When I stopped posting, my experiences stayed intact, untouched, and that felt grounding. But this wasn't constant peace. There were moments of doubt, moments where I wondered if I was fading, if being unseen meant being forgotten. Social media teaches us quietly that visibility equals relevance. When you step outside that system, insecurity can surface. Not because you're weak, because you're conditioned. By the final week, something became clear. Posting photos doesn't just share life, it shapes how life is experienced. When you know something will be posted, part of you stays outside the moment, observing, editing, preparing. Without photos, I was fully inside my life again, unperformed, unfiltered. This matters psychologically, because attention shapes memory, and memory shapes identity. When moments are lived instead of displayed, they imprint differently. They don't feel lighter, they feel deeper. After 30 days, I didn't feel superior. I didn't feel disconnected. I felt centered, more anchored in my internal experience, less dependent on reflection. And that taught me something important. Silence online isn't absence, it's presence, redirected inward. This experiment wasn't about rejecting social media. It was about understanding what constant visibility costs us, and what happens when we reclaim even a small part of ourselves. Because the most meaningful parts of life rarely ask to be posted, they ask to be lived. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do in a world that demands proof is keep something just for yourself.